It is week 4 and we are wrapping up Module 2. Before I get into the topics on Module 2, I wanted to share with you the reasons why I didn't post this video at the beginning of the module. A lot of times you'll be working with a supervisor that isn't always clear with whatever he or she needs. So it's up to you to infer, at least to some degree, as to what needs to be done. That shows self-initiative and that you're able to stay busy and focused even without having someone constantly telling you, okay, now do this, okay, now do this. I was pleased that some of you went ahead and started working on materials without having the video in place. It shows that you were willing to move forward, and if you had questions, you asked them, but while you were waiting for answers, you went ahead and completed what you could. That's phenomenal. So this is the video. It's now in place, and this should allow everyone the opportunity to finish this module in a timely fashion. I also want to remind everyone that this Thursday, September 13th, is the annual business celebration. All of the business students are invited. It's a really fun event that is held on campus in the Rick Allen Room at the Harrod Center. Our speaker this year is Sean Barriger. He's the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. He'll be sharing what's going on in the city, what is coming to our community, what changes to expect, etc. He's always a wonderful speaker and a very, very nice man. In addition to his guest presentation, we also have food, gifts, prizes. So please RSVP here Monday or Tuesday. Ignore the deadline date. Monday or Tuesday so that we can make sure that we have plenty of food on hand. I hope you'll be able to join in. Now let's take a look at our Module 2. Well, the first item is the video overview. You're watching that now. Next on the list is a video on the history of management. It's really not a very old science. It only started at the turn of the last century when people started coming into urban areas and off of farming, where people were getting more specialized training. So being able to supervise those employees was new and had a lot of trial and error, which you'll learn about in this video. You have 4 chapter quizzes. Chapter 1 is an overview of management as the industry. Chapter 2 goes over the history of management, gets into a little bit more detail than the video does. Chapter 3 is about organizational environments and cultures, and you'll have a team project on that topic. And Chapter 4 is ethics and social responsibility. We'll be looking at that throughout the term, but this just provides the overview and framework that we'll start from. You have a discussion, why this profession? And what I'm asking you to do is read through the handout that's attached and then discuss why you've chosen management as the profession you want to go into. What strengths do you bring to the table, and what areas do you need to improve on? Now, your first posting should have been by Wednesday of last week, but whether you got it in on time or not, you definitely want to take part over multiple days and multiple discussions. You can read about the detailed requirements that are necessary to get the bare minimum of grade in the modules area within the general information module. Next item on our list is the manager interview. And you need to interview a manager who supervises at least 3 people. The industry is your choice. You do have a list of questions to ask the person. Here they are. And you're asked to add additional questions of your own. Base them on what you've learned. I'm looking for depth and breadth of knowledge, that you are able to hold a conversation and ask questions of value. You'll write a 2 to 3 page synopsis of your interview, so just list the question, the person's response, if you have any reflection about that response tying into your textbook or something like that, then you'd include that. That's going to be a nice touch. And be sure to include contact information for the person you interview. Now, this interview is to help you decide that management is the right path for you. But assuming it is, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to connect with a leader in a company that you may not normally have access to. So you call and let the company know that you've been asked to interview a supervisor or a manager, and use that time to share your knowledge and share your interest in the company. You might just find yourself with an internship or even a job offer. I've had it happen before. Next on the list are our first 2 Microsoft applications in Microsoft 2016, part of the Office 365 suite. What I encourage you to do is to download Microsoft Office 316 to your computer and access it that way, and then it should look like the videos do. If you use it in the online format, you may need to go onto YouTube and find a different video, one that looks more like what you're seeing. Outlook is the email program for Microsoft Office. And because I can't physically see a lot of what you're doing, I'm asking you to do a lot of screenshots and submit those. So you'll submit multiple items in the assignment so that I can see that you've been able to complete it. With OneDrive, you are accessing the online store, the cloud storage area. So this video does not match if you're accessing it through Canvas. So you'll want to look up Office 365, OneDrive, Canvas if you are going to be using it that way. Otherwise, download Microsoft Office 365, all those the 2016 components, and access it that way, and it should look like it does here. And then you have a team project. Last week, you developed the team charter. So now that you have the charter in place, you're going to use that as the framework and as the guideline while you create a single page in your team site on the topic of organizational culture. So before you do that, you'll want to say hello to each other on your discussion board, post a picture in the file exchange. To create a page, you would go to your team's homepage and you go into it a little bit differently. But you click on Pages, and then you click the plus page all the way in the top right, and then name the page for your team, and then work together as a team to add materials so that it becomes a rich resource explaining what your team thinks organizational culture is. So you're developing a page that incorporates multiple resources to discuss and explain organizational environments and culture. You'll be graded on how well you perform as a team, and of course your grammar and spelling, but biggest thing that I'll be grading on is creativity. When you have your page finished, then have your team leader type the word completed in the assignment area so that I know I can go in and go ahead and grade. Please don't overthink this assignment. Just showcase and talk about what you think as a team that organizational culture is. You should be able to get it completed in about an hour. If it does take longer than that, you're probably working too hard on it. The last task is your team review. In the team review area, you are using this document to track each one of your team members' activity. So the name of your team, your name, and the names of all team members, including yourself, and your percentage of involvement. The total percent of involvement should equal 100% altogether. So if there are 3 of you and each of you contributed equally, then it would be 33%. If one person did the majority of work and the other 2 were only kind of involved, then it would be 50, 25, and 25. So make sure that it equals 100%. And then answer this: what lessons about team success did you learn through the project? What ideas for success will you take with you into the future team projects? And then you'll submit this as an attachment in this assignment, and I will use that as part of the grading criteria for your team. So that's it for Module 2. Much of it won't take very long, but plan extra time just in case. Better to be surprised pleasantly. And if you have questions, let me know. Have a great week.